have 6 rounds in this format. As you might have heard from the earlier sheriff's debate, it mimics that format. 2 will be moderated questions to start and close. Those will come from me. 4 rounds will be allotted to the candidates to question each other. Answers to each question will be 2 minutes. Your opponent then has 1 minute to respond or rebut. And finally, you have the final word for 30 seconds to make any final points. Please keep your eyes on our timekeeper. He'll signal 15 seconds left to go with the yellow/amber light. The red light signals the end of your time. And what we'll do is begin with opening statements of 2 minutes each. And I'll invite Mrs. Garland to go first.
Okay. Good evening. Thank you for having us this evening. And thank you all for staying. I know we're competing with the Orioles tonight. Hi, here we are. I'm running to serve as your first county executive, and I'm running to restore trust in government, to manage growth responsibly, to ensure world-class public schools and a vibrant economy, as well as to make sure that the transition to charter government happens in a good manner, maintaining open and transparent government. So what do I mean about restoring trust in government? As I travel around the county and meet with voters, I hear concerns about government making decisions behind closed doors and outside the interest of the general public. So I want to propose an independent ethics commission and make sure that we have ethics laws that hold the county elected officials' feet to the fire. I want to make sure we manage growth responsibly. This means making sure that growth pays its way and that it happens timed with our ability to provide schools, roads, and other infrastructure. And we need to ensure world-class schools, and that means funding above the minimum level required by state law, something we've done for the past 4 years. I'm proud of my accomplishment as a former county commissioner. We reduced school overcrowding from over 100% to below 90% over the time I was there. We earned our first AAA bond rating. We reduced spending, cutting budgets the last 2 years I was in office to lower than the year before, the only board to do that. And we made sure that we had great schools and that we managed growth responsibly. My vision for the future of Frederick County is not to be a bedroom community to our surrounding metropolitan areas. I want to make sure we have an environment in Frederick County where we can create jobs, to keep our young generation here, and to balance our tax base so that we can make sure that more people can live and work here. I want to change the priorities put in place by the current board. I want to make sure that we use our tax dollars for education, for public safety, and core county services, rather than to underwrite the profits of development.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I was about to cut you off, but we finally got it. Mr. Young, 2
It
minutes.
goes fast.
2 minutes and 5 seconds.
My name is Blaine Young. I'm running to be your first county executive. Born and raised here, went to Governor Thomas Johnson. Graduated from right here at FCC, then moved on to Frostburg, and then just graduated from Mount St. Mary's with an MBA. I have a passion for Frederick County. I absolutely love Frederick County. My whole family loves Frederick County. My entire family lives here. Brothers, everyone. We have a passion for service. My mother's here tonight. She instilled that in the entire family along with my father. I have a vision of continued prosperity. We now have the best bond ratings in the history of Frederick County, 2 AAAs. We are ranked as one of the best counties in America. We've seen unemployment go from 6.9% to 5.6%, 2,000 new jobs. We didn't create the jobs, we created an environment for those that have businesses here to stay here, to expand, and to have businesses relocate, while we're fighting the tax and spend ways of Annapolis with Governor Martin O'Malley. We have the best school system. We also have safe neighborhoods, giving the police officers and the firefighters the tools they need. We have a wonderful park system with plenty of playing fields for the kids and adults. Growth has been planned appropriately. We have approved less building permits than the prior administration. School capacity under this board is lower than the previous board. At the same time, we are making them pay. Who are them? The developers, not you. With over $486 million in cash for infrastructure improvements. They don't include property taxes or income taxes. We will continue to expand the senior property tax credit, making Frederick County the most senior-friendly county in the state of Maryland, so people don't have to relocate to Pennsylvania or Delaware because their pensions are being taxed. This is my vision for Frederick County. I ask for your vote. My name is Blaine Young, and I'm running to be your first county executive.
Thank you. If you want, you can give them a round of applause. So, we're going on to our first moderator question. This will go to Mr. Young. You'll get your opportunity to answer first. Growth and development is once again the most prominent issue of the campaign. Outline broadly for us, if you would, your positions on growth and development and whereabouts you fall on the spectrum of too much or too little.
Well, first, are we ready?
Sorry, 2 minutes.
No problem. First, I've always been pro-property rights. I'm not opposed to downzonings, but if you do downzone someone's property, you should compensate them. The previous board took away people's property rights, 401ks, and savings with a stroke of a pen. I can cite you several examples, several lawsuits that the county had against us when I took office. One for $50 million, one for $100 million. And then you had folks like Dickie Ingram down at Jefferson that just had everything taken away with a stroke of a pen. No compassion, no empathy, no compensation. We, again, have approved less building permits than the prior board. I believe 1,500 is the appropriate number. We all have agreed on that. Growth is going to happen in and around the city of Frederick, in some of our municipalities like Brunswick. And it's going to happen in the southern region of Frederick County. We know this. It's been on the comp plan for decades. Urbana started in 1972 and still is not complete under the Kiplingers. Bill Brochus started Lake Linganore in 1968 and it's far from complete. So while growth will happen, we do not want to be Montgomery County. We do not want the policies of Martin O'Malley and smart growth in planned Maryland where people are living on top of each other. People like single-family homes on 1 or 2 acres. I do not support those policies of Martin O'Malley and fought them and founded the Rural Counties Coalition, which stopped and prevented people from developing on well and septic. But at the same time, we don't want to be Allegheny County, where growth is at a standstill. People graduate from high school and leave. So we need to find that proper balance and make sure that the infrastructure has been put in place. And if you look at the paper tomorrow at A2, it will outline exactly what we made the developers pay, not only in cash contributions, not only in 8 major road improvements, donating 8 school sites, but also 3 fire sites and a park site.
Thank you very much. And Ms. Gardner, Mrs. Gardner, sorry, do you have a minute to respond?
Growth and development are always controversial issues in Frederick County. And my position on growth is that it has to happen in the right place at the right time, and it has to pay its fair share so that existing taxpayers aren't stuck with the bill. So what does this mean? This means growth should be centered around existing infrastructure in our municipalities and in our traditional long-standing growth areas. We should make sure that we don't allow the pace of residential growth to outpace our ability to provide schools and roads. And that's exactly the plan that Commissioner Young has put in place. They have approved over 10,000 new housing units, mostly in the Newmarket and Monrovia area, some inconsistent with the long-standing county comprehensive plan. And they have eliminated the adequate public facilities ordinance that was in place that required development to be timed with our ability to provide schools and roads. They've taken the 100% standard of adequacy for schools and said if a development fails, they could still proceed until schools are at 120% of capacity, as long as they pay a nominal fee, which will not be enough money to provide for the needed schools. They've taken traffic studies and reduced that as well. So development is now paying less than it's ever paid before. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Mr. Young, you have 30 seconds to respond.
We have made developers pay more than any time in the history of Frederick County. I can provide you the numbers. Some folks are paying $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 total impact fee when you add up all the contributions they're making, not only for schools, libraries, roads, and water and sewer infrastructure. Did you pay your own way? I often ask residents, Did you pay your own way? Do you feel you pay your own way? The answer I get from folks is yes. Matter of fact, I pay too much in taxes. I'm the only candidate up here that has paid an impact fee when I built a home in Frederick County.
All right, thank you. Now, as I did before, I'm going to step out of the way, and we're going to have the candidates question each other. And we are going to kick off by allowing Ms. Gardner to ask a question of Mr. Young.
Okay, I will
30
note,
seconds, and then
I haven't paid an impact fee in Frederick County because I bought an existing home. But be that as it may, my first question is about business. During the term of the Gardner Board, despite the height of the recession and the Maryland business climate, several new major employers moved to Frederick County and several existing businesses expanded. Banner Life, the Costco Distribution Center, we had the new manufacturing facility for MedImmune and the new data center, Life Technologies. Under your open for business policies, no new major employers have located in Frederick County. And we read in today's paper that Bechtel is moving over 1,100 jobs to Virginia, following the 600 jobs they moved almost 2 years ago. So without blaming it on others of the state of Maryland, can you please tell us what you have done or what you are doing to keep Bechtel from leaving Frederick County and taking 1,800 high-paying jobs to Virginia?
Mr. Young, 2 minutes.
Well, first of all, Costco was poor planning. I'm glad my opponent accepted responsibility for all those trucks that are getting stuck under the bridge on Route 75. Also, when it came to Bechtel, we're not going to pay folks to stay. This is the philosophy of Martin O'Malley, to pay people to stay, to pay a company millions to please not leave. Bechtel's proof. If you don't change the environment, they're still going to leave. They've changed their whole corporate philosophy after Maryland decided to pay them millions. They came to Frederick County and asked for millions of your tax dollars, for us as a Board of Commissioners to contribute to that, to keep them to stay. We said no. We will make a business-friendly environment for all businesses, small, medium, and large. Look at the unemployment numbers. They speak for themselves. We have had months where unemployment have been in the low to mid 4%. Currently, when we took over, 6.9%, 5.6%, 2,000 new jobs. We can't control the tax and spend, anti-business philosophy of Martin O'Malley, but we can make Frederick County as business-friendly as possible to keep and retain those businesses and also take advantage of those opportunities that are presented. I asked you to simply talk to Matt and Company or St. John's Company and find out their rental rates in terms of what percentage of leasing they are at. Some of them were at 50%. Now they are in the high 80s to low 90s and looking at acquiring more opportunities to build more commercial space to attract more businesses in Frederick County. We just landed, which I cannot divulge today, a major employer from Montgomery County that we were able to keep here in the state of Maryland and bring them to Frederick County to create those jobs for all folks, young, those in the middle age, and the seniors that also need employment also.
Thank you. Ms. Gardner, 1 minute to respond.
Okay, so what I hear you say is that you haven't done anything to try to keep Bechtel to stay here. And so your open for business policies certainly have not worked to keep one of our most major employers here in Frederick County. And I think that's unfortunate. I didn't even hear Commissioner Young say that he went to meet with them or to talk to them to see about what they could do to make sure that we kept those jobs in Frederick County. And the unemployment rate has improved because the economy has improved. And to the extent that the people that are living here working at Bechtel now may keep their jobs and drive to Virginia, they'll still be employed, but we will not have that company here doing business, spending money, and paying property taxes in Frederick County. And I think that is very unfortunate. We need to have some major employers and a diversity of employers in Frederick County.
Thank you, Mr. Young, 30 seconds.
1 minute, my opponent talks about taxpayer giveaways for developers, yet she wants to give money away to keep Bechtel. You need to change the environment. You need to elect Larry Hogan as your next governor. Change Maryland. Continue to keep Frederick County pointed towards prosperity. We are the shining example in the state of Maryland of what can be done if you watch every nickel, dime, and penny. We have proven it. Now we need to change the state of Maryland. We can do so by electing Larry Hogan and get a business-friendly Maryland again.
Very good, thank you. This is your opportunity, Mr. Young, to ask a question of Mrs. Gardner.
Given you voted over 33 times in your career as county commissioners to raise taxes and fees, why should the voters of Frederick County believe that you will get back in office and continue to do the same and raise taxes? You won't sign the new tax pledge, yet you make promises about giving the Board of Education more money with no plan of where it's going to come from.
Okay. Well, first of all, I haven't raised taxes as many times as you suggested. In fact, if you look at what Commissioner Young puts out, he puts out a lot of information that's simply not true. He accuses me of raising a divorce fee, which doesn't exist. He accuses me of raising a transfer tax, which also doesn't exist. I find it very interesting that Grover Norquist's no tax pledge was signed by Commissioner Young, pledging to not raise taxes under any circumstances, when in 2013, Commissioner Young voted to raise property taxes on thousands of Frederick County residents when the fire tax was moved into the property tax. By my count, Commissioner Young raised taxes or fees on average Frederick County residents 17 times in one term. Now, my question is, if you live in Thurmont, Walkersville, Brunswick, Middletown, Sibyllsville, Lewistown, or Mount Airy, your property taxes went up between 4.8 cents and 12.8 cents when the fire tax was merged into the property tax rate. If you're on Frederick County water and sewer systems, your water rates went up, your sewer rates went up, your system benefit charge went up. If you live in some of the lighting tax districts in Frederick County, your property taxes for lighting went up. So my question is how can anyone believe you will not raise taxes and increase spending when the county budget has grown dramatically and grown each and every year of the Young Board? You hear there's smaller government and fewer employees, but there's more contract employees and more privatization that is costing Frederick County taxpayers more. When I left Frederick County government, our budget was $438 million. It was $436 million the year I took office as president of the board. Now it's $525 million. Spending went up 20%. If you take the fire tax districts out, which you should to make a fair comparison, spending has gone up by 10% under the Young Board. It is definitely a tax and spend board.
Mr. Young, 1 minute response.
Again, due to the facts, the FY 2009 budget of the Gardner Board was $524.1 million, adding the general fund, the urban, suburban fire taxes, and permitting and codes. Our board today is $525.6. That's 6 years later. The fact is that the Gardner Board didn't reduce spending or make cuts because they wanted to. They had no choice because the economy dictated, and also the state made cuts to highway user fees and things of that nature. We have cut taxes and fees 260 times. We have cut things like the excise tax, the admission amusement tax, the trailer tax. We've adopted constant yield with the property tax. We even gave you back $100 of your money to spend as you see fit. Your money. We reduced things as absurd as the dishwasher fee, the washing machine fee, the home alarm fee of $100, and the list goes on. Our record speaks for itself. We have cut taxes and fees over 260 times while restoring tax equity to the municipalities.
All right. I'm giving you a little leeway because you are county executive candidates on time. I was giving you a little leeway on time because you are county executive candidates.
The question is it when the red light turns off or when it turns on?
When it turns on. When it explodes,
when it turns on, it stays on.
Mrs. Gardner, you have 30 seconds to respond.
Well, first of all, the Frederick County budget when I left was $438 million. It wasn't $525 million. And there's no math that brings it there. You can go on the county webpage and look at the budgets. The budget was $438 million when I left. It's $525 million now. Basic math tells you which one is more. You are paying more and getting less. So I disagree with virtually everything my opponent has said. The 202 fees and taxes that were cut were basically permitting and inspection fees that only the development industry pays.
Very good. Fine, no. You eat into their time. I'm taking it away from them. No, okay. Okay, right, this is Mrs. Gardner's opportunity to question Mr. Young.
Okay, this is about funding for Maryland 75. You voted to approve over 10,000 houses in the Monrovia and Newmarket area, including the controversial Monrovia Town Center. Citizens came to the commissioners and raised issues about traffic congestion and safety on Maryland 75 over and over and over again. We know that needed improvements will cost between $262 and $500 million. We know that the state of Maryland has said that they will not fund this project. They've asked the county to ask the developers to pay more, and they have raised concerns that the project doesn't qualify for state funding because it's outside priority funding areas. Larry Hogan is also not committed to funding this project, even though you publicly stated he would on several occasions. So, Commissioner Young, what is your plan to fund and construct needed road improvements to Maryland 75? Where is the money coming from? When will it be built? And will you delay construction of these housing projects until there's a plan in place to provide for the needed roads?
Well, this Board of Commissioners has already gotten an estimated $24 million in financial contributions and/or construction of Maryland 75 improvements. They are Maryland 75 at Maryland 80 realignment, I-70 at Maryland 75 interchange, Boyers Mill to Maryland Route 75 connector. We are working with the state, and the state, when I talk about the state, Larry Hogan has been, he knows where Frederick County is. He's been here several times, and he'll be back in October. He has reviewed our road priorities. Route 75 is our #1 priority in our transportation priorities list. He has committed to restore highway user monies, which was taken by the O'Malley administration, which caused serious problems on the county budget, and he has committed to help fix roads like Route 75. So again, I've talked directly to the next governor of the state of Maryland, Larry Hogan. He's made those commitments. We have not seen any commitments from Anthony Brown, which amazes me. I've had Larry Hogan here. He has seen the roads. He's visited Frederick County. He knows what our priorities are. Where has the same commitment from Anthony Brown? So we'll move forward to make those improvements on those infrastructure and the roadways. And again, working with the state. By the way, you hear the term PFA, Priority Funding Area. See, this is all part of that wonderful program everyone was sold called Smart Growth with Paris Mendini, and now Plan Maryland with Martin O'Malley. You know, the planning tools will change if there's a change of leadership at the top in the state of Maryland as we change Maryland of how we plan and how we grow. So working with, again, the state of Maryland with a change at the top, we will get a restoration of our money, and it won't go to mass transit projects in other counties that they take from your gas tax, which you pay 50% of it, and that is wrong.
Thank you, Ms. Gardner. 1 minute.
Well, I failed to hear an answer to my question. So I'll take that to mean that there is no concrete plan or funding identified for Maryland 75. Now, I certainly haven't asked Anthony Brown about it because I haven't been touting that he's made a commitment to fund it, where you have made multiple statements in public and on tape that Larry Hogan had committed to funding the road. Yet when asked, he said, well, he would talk to you about it, he'd work on it. So again, what is your plan to fund and construct the needed road improvements to Maryland 75? Will the existing residents be asked to bear the cost? Will county taxpayers be stuck with the bill? Will county taxpayers be asked to sit in traffic congestion and drive on unsafe roads on Maryland 75? Will you delay the construction of the housing projects to time it with the needed road improvements to Maryland 75 so that people aren't sitting in congestion and driving on unsafe roads?
Again, I've laid out a detailed plan. We have received $24 million in commitments. We have planned improvements to Maryland 75 at Maryland 80 realignment, I-70 at Maryland 75 interchange improvements, Boyers Mill to 75, Maryland 75 connector. These improvements are planned as we speak. They will start moving forward. And again, I have a commitment from the candidate in the Republican Party for governor to return and restore highway user money, which is very important, and also to fund improvements to roads such as Maryland Route 75.
Very good. Mr. Young, your opportunity to take the question to Mrs. Gardner, and 30 seconds.
The county executive would be a 2-year term, which would be 8 years. Currently, you have to have 10 years to be vested to be in the pension plan. Now, our board eliminated perks such as pension plans for politicians. As 12 years as commissioner, did you participate in that plan? And are you going to expand your political perk with a politician pension if you're elected as county executive, since you have 12 years in the plan and you are eligible for that perk? Or will you opt out?
I will follow the charter. The charter does not provide any kind of employee benefits to the county council candidates, but it does provide the same benefits to regular employees to the county executive, because the county executive is expected to be a full-time county executive working to serve the citizens of Frederick County.
There's a distinctive difference. With me, it's about service. I buy my own stamps. I pay for my own cell phone. I don't put in for mileage. I don't spend expense accounts. I don't take the pension plan. The fact is, you heard the answer. Yes, she will expand her political perk with her political pension for her politician if elected county executive. I will continue to opt out no matter what the charter says and not take that perk because you have to have 10 years in vested. I will not take that perk. That is what's wrong with this country from the top down.
Hold on, fellas. Now I see you at the back. Commissioner Shreve. Ms. Gardner, 30 seconds.
Pardon me? Do you have another question?
No, you have 30 seconds.
Okay, I think that we have to make sure that all of these jobs are about service. And they are about service because people are paid less than they might be in a private sector job, certainly, or in another comparable job elsewhere. So I will follow the charter and live within it, and I will be a full-time county executive. And I will ask you if my opponent actually plans to serve as a full-time county executive and give up his employment with his other businesses. He has indicated that he would not do that in one instance, and in one instance he said he would not do that. So I will pledge to be a full-time county executive.
Thank you very much. That brings us to the end of the round where you get to question each other. I think it's a good point to stop. It's getting a little feisty. So anyhow, we'll have my final question, and then we'll move on to your closing statement of 2 minutes. This question goes directly to you, and you get 2 minutes to answer, Mrs. Gardner. What is one point of your opponent's platform that you most comprehensively take issue with?
I most comprehensively take issue with his growth policy, followed closely by his education policy. I've spoke already about the fact that he is allowing 2 residential developers to use future property taxes to pay for their infrastructure instead of requiring them to pay for it. This takes property taxes out of the county budget, and this will compromise our ability to pay for schools, roads, and basic core services, including public safety. So I very much disagree with shifting $160 million of property taxes out of the general fund to subsidize residential development. These are our tax dollars, and this money should go to public education, public safety, and core services. That's my biggest difference. Education, I believe we cannot continue to fund education at the minimal level required by law. My opponent has pledged to not give a dime above maintenance of effort or this minimum level required by law to our school system. He has, in fact, told them that if they wanted more money, they should go buy a Powerball ticket. And that's not a sustainable plan for funding education in Frederick County. Education is fundamentally important to our students, our families, to our property values, and to support our long-term economic prosperity as a community. If we are going to attract businesses here, we have to have good education system. We have to have world-class schools to be competitive. We cannot do that at the minimum level required by law. And I would certainly rather have our priorities be to fund education, public safety, and other core services than to shift our property tax dollars away to support housing development. We know housing is going to happen here, but we do not have to subsidize it. We also need to make sure that we take care of our seniors in our community and that we use some of our tax dollars to do that. I'll end since the red light is on.
The red light is on. Thank you. The power of the red light. Mr. Young, you have 1 minute.
Well, the problem I have the most with my opponent's platform is her tax and spend ways. It's the exact same philosophy of Barack Obama and Martin O'Malley. The record is there. Go to taxandspendjan.com. It's all laid out. Everything is connected to news articles in the Frederick News Post and the minutes from the Board of County Commissioners meetings. She's voted. She has voted. That is a fact. I will give you the backup. Over 33 times to raise taxes and fees in Frederick County. We don't need that philosophy here in Frederick County. I do watch every penny, nickel, and dime. That was the way I was raised. We can continue to make sure that we lower taxes and fees while at the same time looking for opportunity to lower tax and fees on our residents and also expand the senior property tax credit, a meaningful one. Not like the one they adopted where they put a lien on your home. One that actually gave the seniors of Frederick County a rebate on their property taxes, on their tax bill. We will expand that. I will propose to expand that all the way up to $100,000 if elected.
Ms. Scott,
Okay, well, I think it's important to set the record straight. When I was president of the Board of County Commissioners from 2006 to 2010, county spending increased over that 4-year period by less than $2 million, or less than 0.5%. We did not raise property taxes. We did not raise income taxes. And the information that Commissioner Young has put out about my fiscal policies is absolutely wrong and absolutely a misrepresentation. We did have a tax credit for seniors. It was an expansion of the homeowner's property tax credit, which is essentially the same thing as the senior tax credit they have in place today. And we did give people a $100 tax credit, but we gave it to you on your property tax bill. We didn't mail you a check because that would cost us $50,000 more to do that. So if you look at my record, you will see that I have been incredibly fiscally responsible, and I'm the only candidate up here who's led a board that's adopted a budget that's actually been smaller than the year before, and I did that 2 years in a row.
All right. There's no stopping it now, is there? All right. We'll move on to our closing statements. Mr. Young, if you would lead us off. 2 minutes to close, please.
Again, my name is Blaine Young. I ask for your vote. I do as I say I will do. If elected, this Board of Commissioners, when elected, we restored the zoning that was arbitrarily removed and taken from folks with no compensation. We reined in wasteful spending. We reduced the size of county government. County government is 25% smaller since its peak in 2009. Of the $524 million adopted budget with over 2,600 full-time employees. Today, we're at about 1,980. And we created an environment that created jobs. 6.9% unemployment, now at 5.6, 2,000 jobs. Plus, we stopped treating the taxpayers like walking ATMs. And that is what will happen if you reinstate the philosophies of Martin O'Malley with Jan Gardner. We also stopped paralysis with analysis. You all remember the Board of Commissioners used to meet twice a week, and the meetings would just drone on with no decisions whatsoever. We restored relationships with our municipalities, one of the worst relationships ever in the history of county, where we have municipalities suing the county over certain pieces of legislation and fees. They were charging them $1 a parcel to send out their top tax bills. We worked with FCPS staff to step in with the electronic age by bringing Wi-Fi to all schools and begin a program to provide electronic tablets for all students. We moved up and accelerated school construction. Hillcrest Elementary, my mother's here. It was overcrowded when she opened it in 1986. How can you blame Blaine Young? He was a junior at Thomas Johnson High School. We have a real plan now to deal with that overcrowding there and working with the mayor and have a school budgeted in the 6-year CIP. Construction is started underway of Urbana Middle and a new school, a new elementary school in Urbana. And I'm happy to see my entire family here now from football practice. Boys, I love you.
All right, Ms. Gardner, you get the final word of this. It's your evening.
I'm running for county executive to fight for the things that we love in Frederick County. And for me, this is personal. I invested 12 years serving this community as county commissioner. It was my great honor and privilege. And I care deeply about Frederick County. Frederick County is my family. I really have been deeply dismayed and disheartened as I've watched what has happened over the past few years, starting with the dumping of Head Start, the cutting of our human service nonprofit agencies to zero, ending a multi-decade productive partnership, abandoning our seniors and breaking our promise to the Bruner family by doing the lease and sale of Citizens in Montague at a huge cost and a huge loss to taxpayers. We've cut Meals on Wheels. We have funded education at the bare minimum required by law. We've put developers in charge of managing growth in Frederick County, eliminating laws that protected our schools from overcrowding and our roads from congestion. Blaine Young has locked in place a plan to re-overcrowd our schools and to congest our roads. And worse yet, he has agreed to give future property tax dollars a way to subsidize housing development instead of keeping that money in the county budget for education, public safety, and core services. Ethics laws have been repealed. There's no penalty anymore for serious ethics violations. And county employees and citizens have not been treated with dignity and respect in the public process or otherwise. Privatization is costing us more. Citizens in Montague alone, we're spending $7.4 million in our budget this year to pay for Aurora to run Citizens in Montague, when our own budget would have cost $2.9 million. That's $4.4 million more. And the county's now suing the city of Frederick. I'm very, very challenged in this election. I'm running against an unprecedented amount of money, $800,000 to $1 million, coming from certain special interest groups. What have they been promised for that money? And I'm running against a candidate who's running a smear campaign against me. He is running attack ads that only mention me, that don't talk about anything that he wants to do. He's not even mentioned in them.
Okay, if you could wrap up.
And I'll wrap up.
Thank you.
So I want you to know is I am going to stand strong for Frederick County until Election Day. I am here to fight for you. And I'm asking you to stand with me and vote for Frederick County and vote for Jan Gardner on November 4th. And restore honest and good government